This is just really going to be like a very casual conversation between you and myself. I try to keep these conversations casual, and you may have noticed that I haven't sent you any questions or anything like that I might be asking beforehand. And the reason being is I want this to be as close to as if we were just physically in the same room having a conversation, and your answers being that way. I just think it's more authentic and real. Kind of when you're answering from your heart, because that's there isn't really necessarily time to prepare anything. So
Of course.
that's my logic behind that. We'll see how it goes, but I'm really excited about interviewing today, and thank you so much for agreeing to be a part of this. I'm really excited to be speaking with you.
Of course. Well, no problem. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. So how are you doing? How are things, first of all?
Things are going well. I guess I'll be heading into my third, or I've just completed my third week of quarantine, I guess, or self-isolation, if you want to call it that.
Okay.
So yeah, things are going well. Keeping busy, trying to kind of tackle a bunch of the projects that you normally say you don't have time for. So a lot of audiobooks, a lot of reading, obviously a lot of crafts, because that's one of my hobbies as well. And yeah, just trying to keep in touch with people too remotely. As we were talking about earlier, a lot of the apps and things like that, using technology to kind of keep in touch with people. It's been fun that way.
Fantastic. So what I'm going to do for everybody that's going to be listening to this is I'm going to start by just getting you to introduce yourself, tell a little bit about yourself, and then we'll take it from there.
For sure. So my name is Amanda Lorbetski, and I'm a journalist in the Quinte area, originally from Barry's Bay in the Ottawa Valley, now living in Trenton. And I've been lucky to work in newsrooms across the province, really. So Brighton, Belleville, Barry's Bay, Bancroft. Like I said, now living in Trenton and kind of covering the events that go on in the Bay of Quinte area. Also, an active volunteer, and in my spare time, I enjoy crafting. So anyone who follows me on social media will see that there is a lot of crochet on there, a lot of baby hats and a lot of blankets and a lot of scarves and stuff that I like to donate to local charities in my own time. And always looking to
Nice.
connect with local businesses and organizations and stuff like that too, and kind of help promote each other, things that are happening in the Quinte area.
Wow, fantastic. And how long have you been in the Quinny area?
So actually, just this month, well, being, I guess you could say, in self-isolation, I celebrated my 26th birthday, and I came here when I was 18 to go to college.
Happy
So, and then,
birthday.
no, thanks. Yeah, fun experience, a memorable birthday for sure. Celebrating with people remotely, I guess. So yeah, it's been a couple of years, and in that time kind of moved around. So between working in Bancroft and Belleville at one point, and now living in Trenton, also having worked in Brighton. So kind of been all over. But yeah, since I was 18, I came here to go to Loyalist.
Wow, fantastic. And I just noted that we're the same age, so that's really cool.
Oh, that's cool. Oh,
Yeah.
yay, 26.
Interesting year so far, to say
Yeah.
the least. That's awesome. And what did you go to Loyalist for?
I studied there for 3 years, and I took their journalism, online print, and broadcast program. And it's kind of seen a bit of a shift or an evolution, I guess you could say, since then. Because when I was there, we kind of learned the new skills and kind of journalism in our first year. Then we kind of honed in on those skills in our second. And then we were able to do an internship in our third, but we picked a field of study specifically. So I did radio at that time, and then I focused specifically in documentaries. So we got to do like a final project, and then I did my placement up in Bancroft as well too. So North Hastings.
Wow, very. And how was your time there?
It was fun for sure. I mean, I've always loved small market. I would say, and having grown up in a small town and coming to the Quinte area and kind of learning about all the different communities within it as well. Quinte West and Belleville and Brighton and then Center and North Hastings. So I really enjoyed working in a small market, and connecting with people and having that personal connection means a lot to me.
Wow, wow, very cool, very cool. And of course, you mentioned Loyalist College, which is where I graduated from. What
Oh,
what year did you go there for all the people listening?
I would have graduated in 2015. So I started 2012 when I graduated from high school, and then yeah, 3 years. So
So we were there at the exact same time.
no way.
Yes way. I graduated. I started in 2012 and finished in April 2015. Yeah. So
Oh
yeah,
my
we were there
gosh.
at the exact
Now
same
years
time.
later. Now we're friends years later.
That's awesome. Wow,
What did you
wow,
graduate
cool.
from? I'm curious.
Yeah, so I took the business sales and marketing program there. Well, actually, I did two programs. So I started with architectural technology, and like partway through, just realized that like I was terrible at math, like highly functioning math, and then the building code just killed me. And as much as I love, designing things and I'm a creative, those two things just, they were my Achilles heel. So I switched out and quickly got immersed into the business sales and marketing program, which out of the gate just realized, yep, this is my calling. This is definitely where I need to be. And I had the most incredible experience there. I think it was maybe the first time ever, apart from when I was homeschooled, coming out of a course with like straight A's, being on the dean's list and whatnot. So yeah,
That's amazing. And you're natural at it. So there you go. It all worked out.
thank you very much. It's a blessing for sure. So tell me, so like obviously like right now, like things are really tense, and there's a lot of change going on in a really unique time. We're literally in the midst of COVID-19, and businesses shutting down and or not operating, and people on self quarantine like myself. I just got back from Florida, as I think last week, Tuesday, I want to say. So I'm actually on day 10 right now for my
Wow.
quarantine. So we got 4 more days to go. Although I'm
Yeah.
not necessarily excited about
You can do
waiting
it.
waiting in line to go to waiting in line to get into the grocery store, but we'll see
Yeah.
how that goes. But like, what is your just like, and are you on quarantine right now as well? Like, have you been able to leave your house at all, or are you on
Yeah,
quarantine at the
I
moment?
have been able to leave. So I have not traveled within the past 14 days internationally. No symptoms yet. So lucky that way. And I've been feeling just fine. But yes, I am able to leave for sure. Like if I did want to go for a walk or errands, like I was even thinking about that like a couple minutes ago. I'm like, okay, I need to do groceries and I need to, do all these errands. But trying to group them together. So thinking, I need to go to the bank or I need to do this or I need to do that. And kind of going out at once, which I think they're recommending that don't go out every day. Obviously, do what you need to get done and then stay home. So when I'm not doing those errands, I am at home. I do live alone as well, so I'm lucky in that way that I'm away from people um, in that situation, and that I can just kind of be here and be safe, and things are going well. So yeah, I live in Trenton, so that's my plan later today.
Cool, cool. We're just 10 minutes up the road or down the road? Down the road from you. Yeah, we're
Okay,
we're yeah,
yeah,
we're just in Smithfield, so it's about
cool. Yeah,
maybe less than 10 minutes, maybe more
yeah.
like 7.
Yeah.
Cool. So yeah, so the question I wanted to ask you around that is like, how have you been adapting to the change in environment? Just it could be personally, professionally. What are some things that you've had to adapt to in this time?
Well, I've really been trying to use this opportunity to kind of grow professionally, personally as well too. Just kind of tackling, like I said, some of those projects that you normally would love to do, but don't necessarily feel like you have the time to do. So, reading a lot of books. Being in radio for so many years, audio is something that I really enjoy. So, discovering new apps with my library card that I can, listen to some audio in the background, even when I'm working or doing things or, cooking and all that kind of stuff, to feel like I'm still, engaged and learning things and growing and
Nice.
all of that. So, and actually, it's pretty fun too. Right before the whole outbreak happened, our library started their 100 book challenge. So they were hoping for people to try and read like 100 books in a year. And I'm just under like 30 or something right now. But that's my goal, to
Wow.
like work on that. So yeah, personally cool, but then like a lot of good content like entrepreneurship and business and motivational books and just learning new things. So that's something I've been doing a lot of. And then crafts as well too, of course, which I talked about. So I donate most of what I make. So I try to make baby hats and sweaters and things like that and donate it to local charities and hospitals and places that could need it. So I'm kind of working on that now and thinking of my next project and keeping busy that way. So
That's phenomenal. That's phenomenal. I'm going to touch on 2 points here from what you said, because there's a lot to unpack there. But I'll start with this. I think and what you mentioned around, the self development and whatnot that you're
mhm.
pursuing. You're pursuing, now, even more so. You probably do on a regular basis, but just the amount of sheer time that maybe some of us have, in the midst of having to stay home, not being able to go out as much. I think that there's a lot to be said there about using that time to go into more self development. And what are some ways, like I try to think of it, what are some ways that I can work on myself and help to build my brand as a professional, and just increase my knowledge and my mental well-being during this time. Talk a little bit to that, and just how your experience has been with that so far. And has there been anything that you've learned out of that to date that you could share with us?
Yeah, I mean, actually, just before this call, I was part of a new coffee club that a friend of mine ended up launching online. So, networking remotely as well. So, in addition to reading books and listening to audio on my own, I know that online there have been a lot of different groups that have kind of started up remotely to try and encourage businesses and professionals to continue to promote themselves, work together. And we just had our first meeting, I guess you could say, but it's from back home. So in the Ottawa Valley, which is pretty cool. So still kind of being remotely part of that community. So I've been trying to do a lot of that and still connecting with professionals in the area and just kind of promoting online using my platform and vice versa to kind of promote each other and encourage people to still support local, eat local, and support our businesses during this time. So that was pretty fun, and individually as well too, just with friends. I think it's important to also try and connect with people and people that you might not necessarily have had a chance to chat with in the past little while. So using a lot of apps like we talked about earlier and video and messenger and that kind of thing to do a lot of video calls that normally I feel like I wouldn't have had the time to do before or wouldn't have had a chance to make the time to have for before. So I've been doing a lot of that, connecting with friends and especially if they are in the social media world or a business owner, entrepreneur. I try to kind of plug their business afterwards. We do a screenshot usually, and then I try to do like a little nice write up. Because even though I'm at home at the moment, I still want to kind of keep my name out there and their name out there and promote each other. So it keeps me in people's social media feeds as well too. If I'm continuing to make my posts consistent, so I try to do that, and then we can both kind of promote each other from a distance.
I love it. I love it. That's phenomenal. And you mentioned something really, really key, and I'm so glad you brought it up, because this is something that I want to segue into is, online networking. Now, you mentioned the one that you joined is out of Ottawa, and I've heard of a few other ones that are happening outside of the Quinte region, not in the Quinte region, but outside of it. And to date, apart from a board that I sit on, the president of the Select Referral Team, which is a group that you've been at a breakfast and joined us. We're actually going to be starting our first online meeting this coming Tuesday, which I'm really excited about. But apart from that, there's no other resources within the Quinte that I know of that are holding any sort of online networking. So funny that you brought that up, because I had a conversation with a lady, Ashley Spring, who's with Freedom 55 Financial, and she was asking me. She's like, Josh, you have your ear to the business community. What's going on as far as online networking during this time? Like a lot of our businesses depend on this. We've noticed that some online like networking organizations that typically meet in person aren't meeting right now, but we still want to meet. We still want to help facilitate that. Do you know of anything? And I besides the one that I'm president of, I didn't know of another option for her. So we actually decided to partner up, and we're going to just start one.
That's
So
amazing.
yeah, so
Send
we're
me
going
an
to be.
invite.
I will. We're actually gonna, like, we've already kind of come up with a name and everything. It's gonna be called Network BOQ, and it's really just gonna be like an opportunity for people that still want to get together and meet new people and network and whatnot can have the opportunity to do that. So we're gonna be putting some ideas together, and we're actually looking at closer to the end of this month, if not the second last week, but the last week, to launch something. So a little bit of planning, but I'm super, super excited about it. But yeah, to your point, we gotta be doing these things. So I'm glad you brought that up. And there's something that we want to work on to help bring to the Quinny area. So if you know anybody that's interested in that type of thing or would be, we'll keep you in the loop. And if maybe partnering up, if you want to help us out with it, we'd be much obliged.
Yes, that would be amazing. I think it's really important too, especially in this time of like self quarantine and isolation, when if you're someone like me or, who lives alone or someone who maybe is new to the area or doesn't feel like they have, as many connections, it can feel kind of lonely sometimes for some people. So I think it's important to kind of keep that alive online and still kind of build your brand so that you still feel relevant and that when we all do go back to the workforce, however, that ends up playing out, whether you're, working for a company or you have your own business, that you still have that network to support you.
Absolutely. You could not be more right. One thing that you said that I really want to pull apart is building your brand in this time. So I've been like shouting from the rooftops, like telling people like, do not stop building your brand during this time, because what's happening is a lot of people have gone static. Whether it be in operations in the business that they have or as a professional in the workforce, and because of that, they've also stopped branding themselves online. And I've really been trying to push the message to everybody. Don't stop doing that. If not, if anything, now's the time to do more of that. A, because you have time, and B, because it's going to be super valuable for you being top of mind when things do correct and the market goes back to normal. So unpack that for me. What are some things that you personally feel are good for people to be doing, or that you're doing in a time where a lot is static, but you want to build your brand?
For sure. So I think it's important to find moments of, as they say, gratitude or, small moments, small victories in your day that you can share with your online audience. So for me, as someone who's been at home for a couple of weeks, trying to find interesting, fun content that I can create, from my living room or from at home and stuff that people can still connect with and associate me with, because knowing me as, normally a media personality or a volunteer or someone in the community at events, I get asked actually a lot, and even more so before the outbreak, people would say, "Are you ever home?" Because my photos were always from other locations and then they were tagged at a specific location. So now the answer is yes. For people wondering. And now it's like, okay, well, how do I create that unique content that still sparks interest, stuff that people still can connect to, can still associate with me, but from home? So it's been a lot of still crafts and things like that, because people still know that's kind of what I'm about. And a lot of those photos anyway that I took were always at home, just like of my projects. So that's kind of on the personal side of things, but also professionally, like I said earlier, just like trying to connect with friends who have businesses and things that I can, unofficially, I guess, endorse, or just by like a quick Facebook post and say, hey, like this is my friend so and so, and we met here, and just trying to, kind of tell their story about their business and how we, have maintained a friendship, and now we're, calling each other during the quarantine. So I've been getting a lot of reach on that. Like people have been really connecting with that kind of stuff just because it's real and it's genuine. And I noticed too, even back in like radio days and working for, in journalism organizations and things like that before this situation, I always would get more, I guess, interactions and likes and shares on personal stuff. So like I would get more likes and shares on a blanket that I crocheted for, a charity, other than, as opposed to something for work necessarily, if I'm posting a lot of stuff about work too. Because I try to keep it, a mix between the two. And work is awesome, and I loved posting as well, stuff from work. But it's just interesting how sometimes people, they also want to know like the story of your personal life and things that you enjoy outside of your 9 to 5 job. So I'm trying to do a lot of that, and I'm still learning and trying to find things that I can do to kind of captivate people and get them interested in kind of the projects that I'm still involved with from home.
That's phenomenal. That's phenomenal. Yeah, and you bring up such a great point because yeah, you're forced to be super creative because now everybody to some degree is in a in a box that is a lot smaller than maybe the box that they were in before this all happened. So and for myself, like the smaller the box, the more creative I become. So I'm actually really I've probably been the most creative that I've ever been in my career because of what's been happening and because I'm confined to my home and can't go anywhere. And like the idea, just to kind of give you context, like the idea for these video calls and interviews is twofold because it's a chance for me to connect with wonderful people like yourself and keep that relationship going and encourage one another, which is totally an intent behind this. And then also just content that can be shared so other people can see and be encouraged and uplifted by it, and then encourage that to happen in other capacities, whether people get an idea by seeing this saying, oh, maybe I need to, start some more video chats with my friends and family and business colleagues and et cetera. So, there's a lot of lingo going around about leading in a time like this, being a leader in a time like this. And I think that's how we do it. We encourage conversation and we encourage, going back and forth with ideas and how can we adjust and adapt and pivot during this time.
For sure. And like another idea too is doing like things like this, like, video calls and things like that. We also had yesterday, which was a really cool event. A local business in town wanted to do a fundraiser for the food bank. So they ended up doing like by e-transfer, like you could, contact them about doing a donation. And then we ended up doing like a live kind of video, a Q&A with an artist, like a singer, which is pretty cool. So you like got that benefit by making a donation, which was pretty cool as well. And being able to connect with everyone by video. So ideas like that too are great ways to kind of get your name out there. And then they were posting all along the way as well. Like, we have this many donations, we have this many spots left, like, or things like that. And it was a great way to get their name out there and associated with a local charity too.
That's phenomenal. That's phenomenal. And it's such a good strategy too for an artist because, like we have so much access today, but taking it a step further and being able to actually have a live conversation with somebody over, Instagram or Facebook or whatever, I think that's huge. So very, very cool and innovative. What's the name of the organization that's doing that?
Oh, that was the O'Quinn team with Roy LePage in Trenton. And it was Ryan
Cool.
Malcolm. He was the winner of Canadian Idol, which was so cool to be able to chat with him because he's from Kingston. And then we donated to the Trenton Food Bank. They just announced they raised $1,050.
That's phenomenal. That's phenomenal. Very cool. Very cool. And that happened this past week?
Yeah, we had it last night. And like donors like me as well, like I ended up donating a big donation for my birthday. Actually, every year I try to pick a charity that I can support locally. Last year it was the MFRC here in Trenton. And this year I did the food bank. So I donated a bunch of like baby food and new baby like sleepers and clothes. And I made some baby hats as well. And I took photos of it, of course. I posted about it and then I took it to the food bank and we were all, safe about it as well too, like, no contact or anything like that during this time, of course, but I was able to give that donation to them and hopefully they appreciate it. We got it on social media as well. And so that's why I was able to participate in that call because it wasn't just financial, but it was also if you're able, of course, to like donate in any way, they appreciated it.
Wow, wow, that's phenomenal. That's a pure example right there. As you know, how do we adapt and how do we pivot? So that's a perfect example. Thank you for sharing that, Amanda.
Of course.
Great, great. And then another question as well. So in adapting, let's talk a little bit about mental health for a second, because that's obviously, a huge factor for a lot of people. Something that I certainly struggle with as well is just, how do you stay sane being confined, and what are some things that you can do to kind of keep your mind sharp and keep the fluids going during this time. So maybe what's some advice that you would give to people that are struggling with mental health during this period, or some things that you've experienced or learned yourself that you could share?
For sure. Trying to stay connected to social media, using that for family and friends, I would say is something that's really helped me. So still like with, family and friends, like I said, that you haven't seen in a long time. So whether that's a video call now that normally like I feel like I wouldn't have had the chance to do, where I would have been so busy with work, and now I have the time. So really having like a lot of long conversations and over the phone was awesome. And also I would say too, with social media, if you are online, a lot of agencies and gyms and different groups like the YMCA and places are trying to do things like live workouts and things that you can do to kind of stay active and stay moving, and now it's about building that into your schedule at home, when you have a chance, because I know it's kind of happening throughout the day. Different businesses are posting at different times, and sometimes they'll have like a scheduled event that they're going to do on Facebook. They say we'll do a Facebook live this time, this day, once a week, things like that. So I know, like, for example, I love to go to yoga at the YMCA here in Trenton, and our yoga instructor posted a video the other day. So I haven't seen it yet, but I'm excited to kind of try it out. And I know different businesses and, like I said, gyms, different clinics, things like that are trying to kind of connect with people. So offering like free classes and ways to kind of interact. So I would say that stuff is great. Books also, like I'm reading a lot of books and stuff like that. And yeah, you can always, stay at home. There's things you can do. You can, watch TV, watch movies, just ways to like relax, kind of chill out and kind of release maybe some of the anxiety or some of the tension if you have, about kind of the situation. Because the unknown can be kind of scary sometimes, right? You're not really sure. Everyone's kind of stressed out about money and jobs and health. And I'm lucky in a way too, because I haven't had any symptoms. So I'm not, in quarantine really or anything like that. But I definitely feel for the people who are dealing with that, because it can be a really stressful time.
Yeah, no, absolutely. That's and to your point, for the people that are not feeling any symptoms, or virtually fine at this moment, very, very blessed, but definitely an opportunity for us to come alongside and support people that are. And I saw something just yesterday. I think it was like a video from one of the doctors there at Quinny Healthcare, and giving some very clear, actionable items from people in the community, what ways that they can support, whether it be financial or just staying at home and staying in self-isolation, and just things like that. So I think it's
Yeah.
it's really bringing out some positives as far as the community coming together. I think we're really seeing some amazing things from whether it be businesses in the community or organizations, and how people are coming together, donating time, efforts, financial and whatnot, which really shows a strong sense of community here, which I'm super excited about, and super excited to be talking with you, because you're a huge part of this community. I've watched you for a very long time. Had no idea that we went to the same school at the same time. I wish I did. Probably would have
Me
made an
either.
introduction.
There you
But
go.
I've
Yeah.
definitely seen your face at around different events, whether it be on social media or over the radio. And yeah, just want to encourage you and say that you're very meaningful, and what you bring to the table is very valuable for this community. It does not go unnoted, and I just want you to be uplifted by that, because it's true. And it's only going to continue to grow and sparkle, and there's a lot of great things around the corner for you. So I'm excited for you as an individual, and I want to thank you for how you've given back to your community, and just encourage you to continue to do that, because people are watching, and it's infectious.
Well, thank you. You as well. You do an amazing job, you and your family. And I want to encourage you as well, too, to keep up everything that you're doing because we really appreciate it.
Awesome, awesome. Well, I'm going to leave it there, Amanda. Thank you so much for joining me and being a part of this. It's like I said, I've just been inspired to have some more of these conversations of late, and it's to me it's almost therapeutic as well because I like to conversate and I like to build off of other people's good energies, and you have very good energy, and again, very very thankful and grateful that we could have this chat today.
Thank you so much.
Awesome. All right. You have yourself a fantastic day, and we'll be chatting with you soon.
Yes, sounds good. Thank you.
All right. Bye now.
Bye.